Mic'd up.
If Babe Ruth had been unshaven, New Yorkers would have cheered. It's not the thing for which the fans of Garrick would have cheered. I don't know what to tell you. I know it's kind of weird, but the Yankees have beards. Before you start to faint and think the future's all grim, there is a stipulation: they must be well trimmed. They can't trim up like Brandon Mark away in my fingers, but still. Beards. Reggie Jackson must be thinking this isn't fair to me. Can DiMaggio get a goatee retroactively? Don't be shocked on opening day when in the Bronx they appear. The Yankees with beards.
All right, welcome everybody to today's show. It is me you're stuck with as the hostess with the mostest. That would be Michael Miller. And I am joined today by our friend, Frankie the Yankee. Frankie the Yankee, how you doing, big man?
Good evening. Filling in, I guess, for Adam. I mean, just call me Joey Bishop. I mean, I don't know.
You're Joey Bishop. You're more like Joan Rivers.
Oh, no, God, no.
Well, if this goes well for you, I hear that what's her face, the American Idol lady singer, is having guest hosts on her show. I forgot her name. That doesn't do us any good.
Okay.
But how's life treating you, Big Frank?
I'm doing fine. It's been a while since I've been on. I mean, a lot of things have happened since I've been on. I know that.
Yeah, but we seem to have watched the same amount of spring training baseball when we were talking earlier today. You and I, you've watched one inning more than I've watched, I think.
It might have been a half of an inning, to tell you the truth. And the Yankees were losing anyway, so I turned it off.
Yeah, I was in my car today, and I got one at bat, Yorbert Vivas's bat, when he popped out to right field. That was the extent of what I've heard even this season. I'm not worried about it until next week, I don't think. What do you think? How important do you think these pre-spring training BS games are?
I've never taken them seriously, especially the record means nothing. It just, and if somebody's hitting well, it doesn't make a difference. It's a little bit of a concern when you got a lot of players that's striking out a lot and not doing anything. And the pitching is even more of a concern because, but it's a small sample. They're not that many innings in. So.
Yeah, we don't even know we don't even know who's pitching and who's not pitching at this point, right?
We don't have a fifth starter that I know of.
Well, we do. We have a fifth starter. We have a fourth starter. Kramer's going to get out there and start for us, I think. So we'll see. So the topic of the day is along those same lines. It's been a long, strange, and I'm wearing my Grateful Dead Sphere shirt today because it's been a long, strange spring training for the Yankees. What started out as what are they going to do third base? What are they going to do in left field? Who's going to bat lead off? Who's going to play second base? Blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Has turned into the same holes, but now starting pitching has been a big problem. So, they've had 5 relievers that got hurt, plus Loizaga is still hurt.
I didn't even know he was hurt.
Well, he was still hurt from last year.
Oh, okay.
And Matzik came in and looked like he was going to get the second lefty job, and then he went and got hurt and has an oblique. You've got obviously Heel and Cole got hurt as the 2 starters. But then you have also these other guys. Brubaker got hit with a line drive and broke 3 ribs. Clayton Beater, who was a bullpen guy for the most part, or should be, and, got hurt again. And then, of course, you have Chase Hampton's out for the year. He was one of the big prospects, but he's not even on the 40-man roster. And then, from an offensive perspective, DJ and Stanton are hurt, which, what a surprise.
No surprise. That was
DJ and Stanton are hurt. I mean, that's basically been the modus operandi. So, they had holes to start with, and now they have a couple of extra holes. And the question is, how do they fill them? And the question is, where do we start? I guess we start with the starting pitching. What do you think?
I guess I don't know who's going to be the 5th starter. I mean, is Ron to make a start?
It's going to be, they've been pushing some guys down our throat, which cracks me up as I look at the stats. This guy, Alan Winans, that they're pushing has been one of the worst major league pitchers in the 2 years he's been allowed to be a major league pitcher with the Braves. He's been terrible. I don't see any reason why to do it. It's not like he's a young guy either. I mean, he's been around for a little while. Mm-hmm. He's the type of guy, he's 29 years old, and he's only had a couple of years. I don't want to hear about these guys. I'd rather see a Will Warren get a chance. I mean, obviously, the three starters that are going to be starters are going to be Rodon, Fried, and Schmidt. And then Stroman fills in the number 4 hole, and then the number 5 hole is what do they have? And Will Warren's going to be the guy. I mean, he's been fantastic in the preseason, but he was
the preseason. But I mean, then again, he's the only one doing. I mean, I'm just looking at the stats earlier, and it's Fried. They're all. I mean, like not 6 innings, 5 innings. Warren's had 11 innings,
right,
so far. But Stroman, he's had 8 innings and he got shelled.
Yep.
Schmidt.
Yeah, it's going to be. It could be ugly. It could be good. I mean, Warren, maybe the taste last year. They started talking him up. You know how the Yankees are. They start talking up guys. They talked up Hampton, then he got hurt. They talked up Brubaker, he got hurt. But Warren's going to be the number 5 starter. It looks like, and if you would have told me last year he was going to be the number 5 starter before I even seen him, I would have been more excited than I am to see him as the number 5 starter now that I have seen him. Because you're going
to have to see him now.
Yeah, that 10 ERA last year just didn't cut it for me.
I was telling Kramer, I said, Stroman, they've been trying to kick him out the door for 2-3 months. I said he should go online and say, how do you like me now?
Yeah, they blew that one. Their whole process with Stroman was just, what they did with him killed any value potential that they could have in a trade. They should have said, hey, the guy pitched, almost to his career averages last year. Granted, it was a terrific first half and a horrible second half. But, they did a terrible job with regard to Stroman. But there's no options. There's really nobody that's out there.
There's no options. And you just kind of hope that Heel comes back in July and Stroman has a good first half like last year.
Right. And that Warren is actually okay. And I think that the other option is to wait till the deadline, because even Cashman said earlier today or yesterday.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
There's no option. There's nothing out there really. There's no market. There's nothing going on. There are a bunch of guys that are free agents, but none of them jump off the page as guys I would want the Yankees to sign. Do you want Kyle Gibson? No. You live in the D.C. area. You want Patrick Corbin? No.
Oh, we wanted him years ago.
Do you want Lance Lynn, who we've had once before on the Yankees? I don't know. I don't think so. Hey, here's a name from the past. Domingo Germán's a free agent.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yes. I don't think so. And then Dallas Keuchel, he looks like a Hasidic Jew. He'd fit in nicely in the New York metropolitan area. Zach Davies, not quite. There are a couple of guys that are interesting to me. Anthony Del Scalfani, who was really good for the Giants and then got hurt and came back last year, and they released him because he was so bad. It's an interesting name. I wouldn't necessarily go for him. But the other guy that I do like is Spencer Turnbull. He was both a starter and a reliever, which gives you the flexibility to bring him in. And if he pitches well, you can keep him around. And wouldn't be that expensive a guy. And he's not young either, but I much prefer him to an Alan Winans. Or, by the way, we forgot to mention the other guy, Carlos Carrasco.
Okay.
So any of those guys jump off the page at you?
No. I think like they said, the best thing, you don't want to give up any kind of prospect for just for a quick move that's going to be a big mistake.
Right. Yeah, that's a
panic move.
Right.
They're not making a panic move yet, so.
No, and that takes us to the Padres, obviously, because they have 2 guys that they may or may not be trading, depending on how the wind blows down in San Diego, in Cease and King. And Cease is on his last year of his contract. And he's a free agent after 25, so he's a rental. And then obviously our friend King, who, we've had Elvis on the team. He's got $4 million this year and a mutual option for 26. So he could be a rental as well. But did the Yankees really want to give up much for these guys that are likely rentals?
They gave up something to get Soto and they lost him.
Right, they did. They gave up a lot to get Soto, but quite frankly, nobody that's done anything. Right? They flipped the pitcher to the White Sox, who he couldn't do diddly squat on the White Sox. Couldn't make the White Sox pitching staff. What does that tell you?
I know.
Right? They flipped him to get Cease. The big thing we talked about last week on the show was Sandy Alcantara as being a potential piece for the Yankees, but I don't think anybody's going to trade for him until he proves himself because he's coming back from TJ surgery. But he's going to be very costly if he's good because, quite frankly, he was one of the top 5 pitchers in all of baseball. And he was a bulldog like Cole, pitched a lot of innings. And, he's only making 11.2 this year and 11.2 in 26, but 21 million in 27, which gives you, 2 years plus of control, whatever you have him for this year. But, that'll cost an arm and a leg. And what do you think of what I proposed last week, which was give up Lombard Jr. and Jones and a major league ready prospect? If a Peraza is not going to be on your team or useful for your team, send him and Pereira over if you're not going to give him the chance. And they've got 2 major league ready prospects and 2 very close to major league ready prospects, and the Yankees get one of the best pitchers in baseball, assuming he's healthy. What do you think of something like that?
Well, that's a big risk. I mean, I'm not ready to give up Spencer Jones.
Yeah, I mean, they only have 2 top 100 prospects in Jones.
I know, and he's one. I know.
And there's no place for Jones if they Grisham. I don't even want to talk about it.
I don't even know why he's still on the team. I really don't.
Yeah, So I mean, there's nothing much out there for starting pitching. That's one of the things that are out there. There's journeymen, and that's about it. The journeyman free agents, and then there's the journeymen that are out there. And then the bullpen, right? If you look at the bullpen, there are 6 slots that are definitely taken, right? Devin Williams, Luke Weaver, Cruz, Leiter Jr., Hill, and Hamilton. Those are 6 slots that are taken, which leaves 2 spots open. Yandris Gomez, who could be a long reliever swingman, who showed a little bit last year. He's got to have one of those spots because he's got no options. And then what do the Yankees do with the other one? Again, everybody's favorite Alan Winans name shows up, as does a new name, Brent Hendrick, who they started talking up this week as well as a lefty. Kramer's getting all wet in the pants because of that, because he's got 7 2/3 innings and 12 strikeouts in preseason, but in 7 2/3 innings, he's allowed 9 hits and 5 walks. I don't want a 27-year-old journeyman lefty. I'd rather them, give it to a young guy. And then Brandon Lebrand, who's 32 and is not exactly a hard thrower, has allowed 8 hits and 2 walks in 9 innings. I mean, you've got guys on the horizon, right? Cousins is April 15th. He's scheduled to come back. Loizaga May 2nd. Efros May 2nd. I'll believe that when I see it. Brubaker April 15th. I don't know. Matzik is out at least a few weeks, beginning on March 7th when he had his own.
With those dates, April 15th, that's when they're ready to start.
That's already 2 weeks into the season. Yeah. Beater is back April 11th. And then I read yesterday, our friend Hamilton actually has an infection in his calf, but he's supposed to be ready by opening day. David Robertson's out there. Adam loves David Robertson. I love David Robertson. Adam thinks they can get him cheap. What do you think?
Oh, I didn't even know he was available.
Yeah, he's free agent. And, he had a good year again last year. He already retired once.
He's not going to cost you anything but money. You go out and get him.
Well, how much money do you think? I mean, the guys that have pitched like him, even though they're not 402 years old like he is, are getting, $8 to $12 million a season to be a primary setup man. With the Yankees, he won't be a primary setup man. He'd be another.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot of money. Then he's anything you're bringing in is bringing you over the cap, and you're doubling that.
Yeah. Well, you're at 90% now. Asti made this point last week. He said, I think it was 90% right now because they're over 248, and they go to 110% if they go over 301. And Asti was bringing up some stuff that he said Michael Kay was saying, what's the difference at this point? You have only 3 starting pitchers that are reliable, which is 3 more than most teams, but that's a different story. And you've got other holes to fill. But I would give Robertson $6 to $8 million if they could bring him in. Then of course there's Will Smith, the lefty, who seems to end up on the World Series no matter what team he's on.
Yes, that's right.
So you might just want to bring him in and then put him on the IL for the season just to have him on the roster. And then another guy that's interesting is the lefty is Drew Smiley. He's another swingman type of guy. But anybody they bring in, the odds are when a couple of these other guys come back, they're going to get cut. I mean, granted, the odds on Loizaga staying healthy and Efros staying healthy for an entire season once they come back is Zippo. But do you see any, anything in the bullpen that they need to have a stud bullpen if they're going to have this starting rotation?
Especially, they can't go more than 5 innings.
No, yeah. And Rodon, I don't know if you've heard my speech on Rodon. He gets hurt every other season, right?
Yes, and this is the other season.
This is, the only time he doesn't get hurt every other season if it's a contract year. Well, guess what this is? This is the every other season. Pitched 175 innings last year, which is the second most of his career. The most being right before the Yankees signed him when he was with the Giants. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And then, of course, Clark Schmidt, was on his way to pitching the most he's ever pitched, and he had the latch strain, which now Luis Heel has. So it's going to be interesting with the pitching.
We're very lucky and fortunate if another shoe doesn't drop, but by the end of April.
Yeah, I mean every team has it, but the Yanks are getting hit pretty hard right now. So and then the other holes. What do you think of what's going on between second base and third base? I use them together because you're talking about Chisholm, Cabrera, and Peraza, and not DJ anymore. Who I thought
DJ's out of it.
I would have thought DJ would have been the starting third baseman because that's just how the Yankees do things. But what do you think they should do between that those two positions with those three guys? How do you think?
I think Cabrera and Peraza, hold their own in spring training, but then again, that doesn't mean much. Chisholm has done. I mean, not Chisholm. Chisholm hasn't done much. I mean, he's one of the leaders in strikeouts.
Yeah, he's having a real tough preseason.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at Chisholm's stats, he's hitting 154 with 11 strikeouts in 26 at bats, which is not what you want.
And not against the best pitching. That's like I say. Some people slow starters like Mr. Judge,
right?
Who's got one hit, but
I mean, we try not to think about that too much about Judge because he does. He's like we talked about last year on a lot of the shows. Is he injury prone? And we were like, he gets hurt, but he doesn't really, he doesn't have oblique. He doesn't have a muscle injury. Gets hit by a pitch, breaks his hand. Steps on the cement, breaks his ankle. You know what I mean? It's not like he's injury prone. Right. He's not injury prone. But if you look at Peraza, he's having a great spring training.
He is.
Well, not great, but he's having a good spring training.
Yeah, he's doing better than most.
Yeah, Peraza's hitting. Well, he's only hitting 227. He had another couple of hits today. But he's got, he's not really striking out much, which is good for him.
No, he's not.
3 strikeouts, but he has no walks. Wait, am I looking at the right guy? Peraza, Pereira. The guy's names all sound alike to me. There's Peraza. He's got 6 strikeouts and 1 walk. So, it is what it is. I mean, he almost beat out Volpe for the shortstop job a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we haven't mentioned Volpe yet either.
Yeah, well, I'm going to try and stay away because he's he's in the lineup. There's no ifs, ands.
I know, there's nothing to do. Yeah.
What do you think of an idea of a Peraza Cabrera platoon? I mean, Cabrera has trouble hitting right-handed, and Peraza's a right-handed hitter.
Yeah, I think that's what they're going to have to do. I mean, like you said, a lot of things they have no choice, and this is one of them too. I mean,
right.
Thank God there isn't a choice, and the choice would be DJ.
Yeah, it would have been DJ, but Peraza also has no option, so he's got to be on the team, or he's going to have to go through waivers. And I think if he goes through waivers, somebody's bound to pick him up.
Oh God, yeah.
So I mean, that's Then again, we didn't think anybody. We thought people were going to pick up some of the other players the Yankees have put through waivers in the years, and they didn't do it. But we'll see what happens. So yeah, do you think that's what they're looking at? Is Jazz at second base and?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So, and then the other thing that Adam and I spent a lot of time on that I'm curious about your opinion. He's debating carrying 3 catchers with Rice, Esquera, and Wells, all left-handed hitters, by the way. Because
Esquera's having a good spring training, but not Rice.
Esquera's been hitting the snot on the ball for 2 years in the minors after coming out of nowhere. So it's an interesting thing.
But, I look at Rice, 10 strikeouts. He's one of the leaders. and batting 140 something. Yeah.
And he's not exactly a guy who you can put in as a backup first baseman and know you're going to get stud fielding.
Yeah.
And he hasn't caught much in the last year last year or so, because when he came up to the Yankees, he didn't catch. My belief is he should go down and catch every day and play some first base and then see what happens. Adam likes his bat to ball skills, and I'm like, he was striking out a lot last year after they figured him out.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think? What do you think they should do with Rice? Besides,
I let him go
maybe
back
get some
down.
teriyaki sauce.
Yeah. I think I let him go back down. I mean, he's had his chance. I mean, he's not showing anything in spring training. This is the time to show it.
Right.
And,
So, who do you go with as your backup first baseman?
that guy from Houston.
Look, Dom Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, Dom Smith can handle New York. He played for the Mets.
Yeah.
And it's, quite frankly, you need somebody to be on the team that you could release when DJ comes back, if he comes back, right? And why would you mess with Rice? Let him play every day and get his bat in order. And if he does get his bat in order, then he can come up and be your left-handed hitting first baseman backup behind Goldschmidt. But Dom Smith, we're also with Dom.
He's having a good spring training. I would look at these strikeouts. Only 3. He's batting over 300. I mean,
so I played that. I played that song at the start of the show from Dan Byrne. He's got another song from when Dom Smith was on the Nationals, how he only hits home runs when they were down or up 10 runs. He only knocks in runs when that happens. Tony Kornheiser has gone off on Dom Smith for years until they got rid of him last year, because he just couldn't stand him. But when he was on the Mets, he actually had.
I always said that about Winfield. Winfield got 120 RBIs, and none of them counted.
I have a little bit higher perspective view of Winfield than you do. But Dom Smith, he did well when he was with the Mets. But then Alonso came along, and that was that. So yeah, I'm of the belief that Rice is going to go down. Adam thinks he's going to be there, and they're going to keep him for the third catcher. But they have only left-handed hitting catchers, right? Unless they keep what's his name, Martinez, that they got from Cincinnati, which would be a huge mistake. I mean, he's a good defensive catcher, but guy can't hit your weight, and you only weigh $105, Frank.
Now I'm getting a few.
Okay, $110. And then, last but not least, as we go through this stuff, obviously the outfield is going to be Judge, Bellinger, and Dominguez. But with Stanton out, they're going to let Judge do some DHing again just to keep him off his feet. When that happens, all right, when do you make Judge the DH? Let's say it's a right-handed pitcher and Judge is now going to be the DH. Who are you going to put in the outfield with Dominguez and Bellinger? You know who they're going to put out there. Say the words that we don't want to say. Grisham, because he's a lefty.
Yeah.
I love the fact that Cashman said they expected Grisham to have 300 at bats plus last year before the season. It just didn't work out that way. And I'm thinking to myself, it didn't work out that way because the guy was batting, $115 for most of the season.
I didn't even check. What's he doing in the spring? I don't think he's probably doing anything.
He's not doing anything in the spring. He's Trent Grisham spring training stats. I can't even find them as I scroll down. This is getting uglier and uglier at every step of the way. So I don't even want to begin to say.
I thought I saw his stats earlier.
I did too. It was not good.
It wasn't pretty.
There it is. He's hitting 179. He's got 10 strikeouts and 1 walk in 10. Oh, no, he's batting. Sorry, Trent Grisham is batting 200, 5 strikeouts, 3 walks, and 10 at-bats. He's doing nothing. As opposed to the man that I do like to see, and I would like to see out there, which is Everson Pereira, who is hitting 350. Yes, he has 7 strikeouts and 2 walks, but he's hitting 350 with a 440 on-base percentage. You know what? If Dominguez doesn't hit, I was pushing the idea that Dominguez also struggles right-handed, that Dominguez and Pereira would be your platoon. and that would be a potential platoon if Dominguez can't do it. I don't want to see Grisham play.
I don't think they'll give up on him that quickly. I mean,
No, but
yeah.
I'd rather. Who would you rather see in the lineup, Pereira or Grisham?
Oh, Pereira.
Right. So, something else you and I talked about earlier today is, what do you think Dominguez in left instead of center? What do you think of that?
I put him in center field. That's what he is.
Why would you put him in center field? What's your reasoning? I want to see if it's the same as mine.
Well, Bellinger can play left, and he's showing his spring training. He just can't. I don't know what it is. You would think a center fielder could play any position, but it's obviously he can't.
I don't know if he can play left field or not. My thinking is the guy's coming up. He's 22 years old. It's his first real shot to be a starter, even though he was supposed to have it last year. Why put the added, you need to learn a new position on a guy when he's actually a decent, if not slightly above average center fielder throughout his minor league career? So why put that added pressure on the guy?
God, it'll affect his hitting,
Right. It gets in your head. I mean, even at our stupid low level of play, you boot a ball in the infield, it gets in your head. Even when you're hitting, you got to make up for it. And all of a sudden your bat is sawdust in your hands. Yeah. It seems odd.
It more works that way than if you strike out, you're not thinking about it in the infield, the outfield, usually, Matt.
Well, I am. I think about everything. I'm distracted easily. I'm thinking about anything that I'm not supposed to be thinking about, which is, a challenge for me personally. But I think that's because I have so many voices in my head.
Well, I have a few, but I know if many errors I've made and still make, that will affect my hitting more than my hitting. If I don't, you're going to strike out. You're going to make out. You're not going to get hit every time, but you're supposed to catch that ball every time.
What do you mean? I'm never going to make an out. What are you talking about? I agree. It's easier to an out. If you have it's easier to have a good at bat and make an out.
True,
Put it behind. If you have a good at bat, even if you strike out, if you have a good at bat, right, and you just get beat by a pitcher, you can put that out of your head. Whereas there's no way to put a bad fielding play out of your head if you boot a ball.
Because you think you're going to boot the next one.
Right. And there's nothing to hide behind. If you have a good at bat and you feel like you had a good at bat and the pitcher beats you, you got beat by somebody else. But a routine two-hopper comes to you and all of a sudden you either boot it or throw it into the stands. You're like, I can't blame that on anybody as much as I'd like to blame Kramer.
I'd like to say it was a bad hop, but it didn't look like one.
No, it's right. It's right here. I don't understand how I missed it. And then you got the easy throw from wherever you are, and you throw it away. It cracks me up, which is why we have a tournament down in Monterey, and we play on turf. Those one-hop throws are great because then the first baseman also doesn't have to deal either. So you're throwing it across the diamond to some of these first basemen that can't move, Joe Osti, and then you get hop right to his chest. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of holes, a lot of things going on, and I don't want to bring in a guy like Arenado. Do you have any desire to see Arenado come in? No. What about there's a name that
I don't think they're not going to do it because they're not going to spend more money. I mean, until they have to.
Right, so they have to, which is the trade deadline.
To the next shoe drops,
Yeah. One name that came up today, I read an article about Jose Miranda. He from Minnesota. 2 years in 22, he had over 400 at bats and he had a 750 plus OPS. And then last year he had over 400 plate appearances, and again he had over a 750 OPS. In 23, though, he had less than 200 at bats and he stunk. I'm not a big fan of bringing him in. He's a minimum wage guy as well, so it's not like you're talking about money with regard to him. But I'm not. I'd rather see Peraza get the chance and Cabrera get the chance than go out and get a Jose Miranda who might actually get waived by the Twinkies.
No, I think you've got two people for third base. You had him in the system for a while. Put him in.
My thinking is with regard to Peraza, especially when his value was high and you made the decision to get Volpe, if you really didn't believe Peraza was ever going to make it, then you should have dealt him that when his value was, they I'm not happy with the way that they've dealt with the prospects. Right? It just
They're consistent.
well, they bring them up. They bring them up as studs, and then they end up being fizzling, and then they disappear, and they get nothing for them. Is what ends up happening, and I think
They
that's
hang on too long.
one of the biggest weaknesses that in Cashman's tenure. Obviously, strength is bullpen fixing, and then having Blake really has made that an even bigger strength for the Yankees. But dealing with prospects and when to bring them up and not to bring them up, and you would think George is hovering over him, saying, "Get that young guy out of here, get this old guy in here," but it's not. It's Cashman now. It's not Hal. So what do you foresee? Do you foresee anything strange? I mean, we'll probably have you back on, but what do you think is going to happen this season as far as good, bad, and ugly?
I just hope there's not more, these people, more people going down. That's going to be tough. I mean, even Cashman said, we can't take another blow, and they really can't. It happens. It's baseball. It's baseball season. It happens. It happens to other teams. We just focus on the Yankees more. And that's why some teams you think are going to do well and they don't make the playoffs because it happens to other teams.
Right.
And it could be one of those years. It's happening to the Yankees.
Well, the Dodgers have 9 starting pitchers, and really they struggle to have 5 at this point because of the injuries.
Yeah.
With Glass now, and Gonsolin got hurt yesterday, and Ohtani, who is supposed to be ready, is not ready.
Yeah.
And then somebody else, one of the minor league, one of their top prospects, Miller, got hurt. I think it was, or one of the other guys got hurt, and they went from 9 to 5 really quickly.
That's a super team. Yeah.
Super team. Super team.
The dream team.
The dream team. So, yeah, but do you see, I mean, where do you see them right now? If you had to pick based on the rosters that you see in front of you, what do you think they are going to do in the AL East? First, second, third, fourth, fifth, or seventh?
7th. I'm going to be hopeful. And, see, Boston did get better. I mean, I think they're going to fight for first. At this point, I still think that, they've got a good lineup. Not they don't have Soto, and they don't have a great lineup, but I think they're going to compete. I mean, but like I said, they're 1 step away or 2 steps away from a collapse. I mean, if that can't even say it, without cringing, if something happens to Judge,
Right.
for any length of time.
I agree.
Yeah.
If Judge goes down, they're done. There's nothing they can do unless by some miracle Jones ends up being a stud all of a sudden. Yeah. But that's not reality.
No.
That's outside the scope. I agree. They're a Judge injury away from having no offense. And pitching, they're going to have to patch it together. But I agree with you. I think Boston's very much improved. Bregman makes a big difference. And Cassis for a full season makes a big difference for them. And they've got some prospects. Their starting pitching's a little weak, and their bullpen's even weaker, but it's Boston. All right, Frankie.
Well,
I think we've exhausted all the BS because nothing's gone on.
Since I've been on, I mean, a lot of things have happened. I've seen pinstripe hats in spring training, which I kind of like. You wouldn't expect that from me.
Well, it's spring training. What's the difference?
But it's for spring training hat. I kind of like. And Kramer's going down. Well, he's going down tomorrow. He's going to try to get one, and that's a story in itself. But
everything's a story with Kramer. I'm sure they're selling them. I mean, that's why they created them, is to sell them and to give them away at fantasy camp. Instead of giving away real hats, they'll give away those hats.
They're not giving away these now. Not.
Nope. See,
mine doesn't even have the New Era on it. I won't wear those.
No, does mine? Mine doesn't. This is what? No, mine. This is the Jeter season. I have the Jeter season hat. Yeah. That's my Jeter season hat.
That was a good giveaway. That was a good giveaway they gave us.
I agree.
That was But
they gave us a good Jeter giveaway, and they gave us a Mariano jersey.
What?
They gave us a Mariano patch jersey as well.
That's right. Yeah. So. They didn't ask me my opinion about the beards.
Who asked you? Oh, well, yeah. What's your opinion about the beards? I forgot about that. It's such a meaningless thing to me.
I see it is. Well, I understand it. It makes somewhat. I understand it, but of course I don't like it. But you got to evolve, and I understand it. And I have a cousin who says once they go to a alternate jersey like a red or a blue, he's done. I would accept that because that's reality. You got it's merchandise. That's going to happen.
I would rather them go to an alternate jersey than put the names on the back. The names on the back bother me the most.
That would do. But I'd rather see an alternate jersey than the advertisements. That's but that's here to stay. And is the advertisement on the helmet here for good or what?
Probably. I don't mind the advertisement on this. It doesn't. I don't notice it. I don't. Maybe it's so subliminal. It works on me the best, but I don't care.
How could it be when the NY's here and the swoosh is here? It's like at least put it.
Well, the
here.
swoosh doesn't bother me. The swoosh, I don't care. It's Nike wants to have it. Instead of having it on the back of the neck, they have it over here. I don't care. I really don't care about that. I don't want them to be NASCAR. Don't get me wrong, but
like I say,
the beards.
Not anything against people who have tattoos, but usually people don't stop with one tattoo. So I think it's going to be the same thing with the patches. They're not going to.
I know, Frankie, that tramp stamp. I thought that was the only one you were going to get. Now I look at your back, and it's unbelievable what's going on back there. Unbelievable. It's crazy.
Oh. Well,
I know you put your tramp stamp's just a bullseye, which is kind of so.
I thought this was a family show. Adam always gets at me. It's a family show, Frank. Keep it clean.
Yeah, I know. I'm the one that he usually has to yell at. So yeah, the beards, it is what it is, and I'm agreeing with you. As long as they don't become NASCAR, there's nothing you can do. Yeah. I don't want an alternate jersey. I hate the stupid Players Weekend jerseys.
Oh God.
I don't care. Let them have their cleats.
The City Connect ones. Oh God.
At least the Yankees didn't do that. They don't do that anymore. They did that one season when they were in LA on the road on Players Weekend.
Yes.
And they did do the jerseys, but they haven't done that. I don't want them to have alternate jerseys. That would bother me more than anything else that they've done. But it's not going to stop me from being a Yankee fan. Names on the back would really bother me the most.
I don't think that.
Even on the road jersey, I don't want them to have the names on the back. So, anything else that jumps out at you that you want to talk about?
No, that's it.
All right. So, I think we've covered a lot of the bases, considering not much is going on.
No.
We covered what we needed to cover. And, we're on our YouTube page, and feel free to watch us, comment us. We have one less listener today because you're on the show. So, which means we have no listeners today.
I'm not going to listen to myself. You can count on that.
I have to do it when I do the editing. It's just so annoying. So I'll speak to you soon, Franklin,
right,
and we'll go from there. And I'll see you soon.
All right.
All right. Take it easy, Frank.